Thank goodness, Supergirl, you've saved the day! By which I mean you've saved the local Popeye's chicken, just in time for their new hot honey chicken sandwich. Jesse Shade here for Awfully Good Movies, on behalf of the JoBlo YouTube network, and we're only a little over a year away from yet another Supergirl being introduced to the big screen as part of James Gunn's new DC universe, with Jason Momoa set to make a heel turn from the old DC universe to return in the villainous part of Lobo. Yeah! And as someone who isn't quite as fluent in comics as everyone else is, I personally associate the name Lobo with that of Bela Lugosi's mute bald sidekick from the infamously bad Ed Wood movie Bride of the Monster.
You're going to be in the picture?
Yeah, I play Lobo.
So I am going to be very disappointed if the new Supergirl movie does not have a scene of Jason Momoa struggling to chase after Supergirl when he gets stuck inside of a tiny doorway. But until then, let us take a look at the old school Supergirl from 1984 when she faced off against someone even scarier, Faye Dunaway, in this kryptonite-powered episode of Awfully Good Movies. After nearly a decade of production hell and what has felt like a decade of scandalous headlines for its lead actor, the time has finally come for Ezra Miller to star as the super fast superhero who will end the DCEU on a hopefully high note: The Flash. And regardless of the drama surrounding it, many DC fans have joined Tom Cruise, Stephen King, and James Gunn in praising this movie as not just a fitting farewell for Ben Affleck's Batman, but also a definitely welcome return for Michael Keaton's Birdman.
I'm Batman.
Batman. As well as an epic intro to Sasha Calle in the role of the Man of Steel's female cousin, Supergirl. In fact, this is the first cinematic appearance for Kara Zor-El in nearly 40 years, as 1984 saw Helen Slater donning the red and blue tights in the title role of the sequel/spin-off/superhero stinker known as Supergirl. After Superman 3 failed to live up to the epic success of its two predecessors,
Thank you, brother.
franchise producers Alexander and Ilya Salkind decided to reset with a movie based off of Superman's Kryptonian cousin, with Christopher Reeve even set to return in a supporting role as Kara's mentor, that Reeve would turn down right before the start of filming. And while Warner Brothers was also involved in this film's production as well, the studio grew impatient with the Salkinds after Superman 3's disappointment, and their insistence on moving the film from the studio's July release date to avoid competition with that summer's blockbusters or Olympic ceremonies. So they would sell the distribution rights back off to the Salkinds, who would release the Supergirl film that Thanksgiving through TriStar Pictures.
Anything can happen.
Yet even after TriStar chopped the film's 2-hour length down to 105 minutes and had the film open at number 1, the box office quickly dribbled down after getting kryptonite from both critics and audiences, resulting in the Salkinds selling the Superman film rights off to another duo of cheapskate movie producers, and Supergirl getting killed and retconned out of the DC comics for the next 19 years. But now that Supergirl has made a big splash in The Flash, let's see if the Woman of Tomorrow's cinematic debut deserved any better as the film which opened the door for female superhero movies. And I won't even pretend to guess how The Flash is going to end up doing at the box office, because you JoBlo subscribers who watched my Superman 4 review know how bad I've been at predicting the trajectory of these DC movies. And since we have Joss Whedon coming in to rewrite and reshoot some of this movie, he may end up spreading
Some of that Avengers magic towards the Justice League as well.
Time to dance with the devil in the pale moonlight as we run back in time to warn our future selves about the awfully good drinking game. Take a double shot when the film opens and closes in Supergirl's home turf known as Argo City, where Kara Zor-El lives among a bunch of other Kryptonians who fled their dying planet the same time that Kal-El did, into the dimension of the Survival Zone, where no Kryptonians of color are apparently allowed. Huh. Kara meets with the wizard who helped design the city, Zoltar, not to be confused with Zoltan, played by the late great Peter O'Toole in one of the 2 visibly drunk appearances that the infamously alcoholic actor makes in this movie.
Perhaps I might venture as well.
You could never survive the pressure. It would
In
destroy
that I can.
you.
Zip, zap, zoom-a-da-bob, and I'm gone.
How?
In that, through that. Ah!
And Dumbledrunk here happens to have stolen one of the 2 power sources that help sustain Argo City to assist his magic spells.
An Omega Hedron. The Guardians let you have it?
Not exactly. I borrowed it.
As well as let him get creepily close to both Supergirl and her supermom, Allura, played by a bored-sounding Mia Farrow in her only scene of this movie.
You're starting to repeat yourself here with all this airy, glittery stuff.
But trouble arises when Kara plays with the wizard's magic balls and wand and forms a living giant mosquito that flies out and punctures the plastic wrap around Argo City.
Kara, the power source!
Oh, good to know that the only thing keeping us safe from death this entire time was a lack of sharp, pointy objects. That's when Kara sneaks off to hop into Zoltar's escape pod to chase after the Omega Hedron herself on its way to Earth.
You lunatic!
She'll be killed.
She will be safe. I've lost the Omega Hedron. I must be sent to the Phantom Zone.
Unless, of course, one of my fellow Kryptonians will testify to the High Council on my behalf.
Guilty.
Just let them know that I made a simple mistake that could have happened.
Guilty.
Look, I now admit the plastic wrap around the city was a huge design flaw.
Guilty.
Okay, fine. I'll bloody well go to the Phantom Zone, where I'll be getting pissed drunk with General Zod and his buddies until you need me for the final half hour of this shitty movie. Ta-ta and farewell! So Kara is now en route to Earth, where we find our 2 future villains, a witch and warlock named Selena and Nigel, played respectively by a post-Mommy Dearest Faye Dunaway and legendary British comic Peter Cook.
Such a pretty world. I can't wait until it's all mine.
Takes a lifetime to discover the secrets of black magic from the ancient grimoires.
Amidst this romantic picnic, the magic ball lands from space right in the middle of their nacho cheese dip,
Immortality be upon this one.
where Selena somehow knows what this ball does right away and no longer needs any more magic teachings from her British boy toy.
You can't run out on me, Selena.
Don't you forget, sweetheart, that my last name is Peter Cook, not Peter Cock! Then we cut back to Kara fully dressed in her Supergirl outfit, with no explanation where the costume came from or what it's for, and leaping to Earth out of a river in the form of a cardboard cutout.
They're cardboard cutouts.
Exactly, like they're cardboard cutouts.
That's not a joke towards her performance. They literally replaced her with the same cardboard display that this movie's audiences just saw out in the theater lobby. Not all the effects are thankfully that bad, as Kara begins obtaining her powers from the sun, with Helen Slater physically training for 4 months to do this impressive acrobatic flying sequence, and the blue screen flying effects looking comparatively better here than the reused flying effects we'll later see in Superman 4, and arguably way better than some of the Supergirl effects in The Flash. But the minute she finally touches down in the nearby small town of Midvale, Illinois, she comes across a pair of horny drunk truckers, looking to bang her faster than a speeding bullet.
Check out the view from back here, Eduardo.
Stop that.
And yes, that is character actor legend Matt Frewer as one of these truckers, wearing the same hat he'd later wear as Wayne Zielinski's neighbor.
Why are you doing this?
It's just the way we are.
Golly, Eddie, that sure is an accurate observation about the patriarchal power system which keeps women down in this here country. Have you been listening to my audiobooks of feminist literature again while I've been sleeping in the truck, you son of a bitch?
And so Supergirl does away with both of these truckers, one of whom even gets a kick right to his truck nuts.
Eddie, I think maybe we should kind of keep this to ourselves.
Oh wait, never mind. Here comes another one of them Supergirls walking down the street. Hey sweetie, does the S on your chest stand for sex?
The next day, Kara wakes up in a field next to a baseball game being played at the all-female Midvale school. And even though the movie has established Kara as too dumb to know what even a tree is,
What is a tree?
she somehow knows right away to disguise herself magically as one of the school's students, enlisting with the school's grumpy principal under the name of a racist Confederate general,
Anartham Lee. Linda Lee.
and writing a letter of recommendation under the name of her previously mentioned cousin Kal-El's alter ego.
You mean where my cousin went?
You're, Superman's best friend, huh?
His cousin. Maybe he got his letter under K for Kent.
Well, what a plot convenience that is. Because Linda Lee's new roommate, Lucy, just so happens to be the sister of the other ace reporter at the Daily Planet, J. Jonah Jameson.
And your sister, the one that's always calling me and bothering me.
Lois, Clark Kent's your cousin you're putting me on.
And while Margot Kidder certainly isn't giving this movie the half-hearted cameo she made back in Superman 3, Christopher Reeve as Superman will be making an appearance, after all, in the form of a poster on Lucy Lane's dorm room wall.
Superman? My sister's got something going with the big guy. A real hunk.
With Superman's absence explained earlier in the film in a radio broadcast.
On a special peace-seeking mission to a galaxy scientists estimate may be several hundred trillion light years from our...
And we all know from the next movie how well that peace-seeking mission turned out.
I'm going to rid our planet of all nuclear weapons.
Oh no!
Meanwhile, we've been cutting back to our villain, as Madame Selina heads back home to an abandoned carnival that either the Joker or the Penguin are subletting out to her, and shows off her magic space ball, whose container is growing in size over the course of the movie, to her Ned Beatty/Otis equivalent, Bianca, played by Brenda Vaccaro.
The world is at last my oyster. Just go ahead and do what I said, which is to start our own coven.
And just wait till you see all these terrifying goons that these witches have enlisted into their evil coven. Paul Schaefer, Dean Stockwell from Blue Velvet, that Native American lady who accepted Marlon Brando's Oscar who we found out after her death wasn't Native American at all, and Lady Gaga practicing her Harley Quinn voice.
I want to be rich and famous.
Then stick with me and dance cheek to cheek.
Stop it, Selina!
My god, Selina has perfected the dark magic known as Electric Boogaloo. Now those dancers in the Breakin' movies don't even stand a chance.
What happened?
Oh,
In yet another coincidence, Nigel is also a part-time teacher over at the Midvale School, who teaches his students to prepare for a future where school students will spend their days staring at a computer screen, where Kara/Linda defends her new friend and roommate from two stereotypical bullies picking on her during a lacrosse game. After which the bullies are stopped by Supergirl from scalding the ladies in the locker room with hot water.
so they lose a little skin. Serves them right.
Sure, that's something a regular high school bully does, and not a murderous sociopath. Hell, that plan is way more evil than the next plan that Selina has for magically assisted world domination.
My prince has come. Oh, no.
Ellis?
Yes, that is a young Hart Bachner, aka Harry Ellis, the yuppie shithead who sold John McClane out to the terrorists in Die Hard, as the hunky school groundskeeper whom Selina wants for her prince, using a magic love potion she learned to concoct from Dr. Cosby in the multiverse of multiple allegations.
He who drinks the water shall be in love with the first person he sees.
Bottoms up, huh?
I think it's getting dark in here. I don't know.
Oh no, you accidentally gave him the Elvis potion by mistake! Austin Butler took some of that shit, and the poor guy's never been the same since. Quick, someone get this man a fried banana and peanut butter sandwich before it's too late. Oh man. Ethan wakes up in a stupor, walking through Selina's haunted house lair and out into the streets of Midvale.
Where is he?
I don't know!
Where Selina's magic mirror finds him soon crossing paths with both Linda Lee and Lucy Lane, as the latter happens to be on a date with this movie's only returning cast member from the other Superman movies.
I got this guy coming up from Metropolis. I think he knows your cousin Clark.
Jimmy Olsen, played again by Mark McClure.
You go out there and try to help a guy like that, and he's probably got a gun or a knife, you know.
In a role that's as useless to this movie as the Jimmy Olsen from Batman vs. Superman. And yes, just as Man of Steel would have shameless product placement for IHOP, so does Supergirl have a tie-in deal with Popeye's Chicken.
I'll see you later at Popeye's then, okay?
Fucking awesome.
One of the film's many shameless product placements for everything from Tylenol to A&W root beer to the Robin Williams movie The World According to Garp. Selina telekinetically takes over a bulldozer to scoop Ethan up into its jaws for her, and that's when Supergirl finally goes into hero mode, right at the film's halfway point. Look, up in the sky! It's a bird! With a vagina. It's a plane! With breasts. No! It's She-Hulk!
God damn it, people, the S on my outfit does not stand for She-Hulk! My skin isn't even colored green!
Yeah, but you sure do seem angry, though! You can see the 22 days worth of production that this movie put into this big action sequence, as well as one of the movie's boom mic handlers popping up in one of these mirrors. But ultimately it's not nearly as thrilling as the classic original, because Clark Kent got to be a fully developed human being that helped him remain relatable even while he was saving the day as Superman. While poor Helen Slater in her debut role here hardly gets anything to work with, other than a great looking outfit. She just dawdles around playing with bunnies and horses more than she ever whoops some ass, on top of dealing with Ethan the groundskeeper now falling in love with her as Linda Lee, while under Selena's love spell.
The cold repulse, the look askance, the lightning of love's angry glance, stay.
No! No! War! Hangers!
I'm sure the spell will be broken once he asks her on their first night of lovemaking to dress up like Hans Gruber and speak in a German accent, which actually just sounds like a British accent. So Selena's next plan to bring down Supergirl is to summon forth the power of her shadow. In other words, we couldn't afford a monster effect for this scene, so we're just gonna have Supergirl fighting up against absolutely goddamn nothing.
Leave this place and do no harm.
She is fighting against thin air. This is pathetic. You could have had her fighting against one of those wacky inflatable tube arm guys.
She quit, right? Who is she? You know, I think I recognize the costume. A Supergirl.
Yes, of course. I believe the S on her costume stands for Spider-Gwen.
God damn it.
Even though Faye Dunaway's off-screen diva behavior nearly got her fired off of this movie, she's actually an enjoyably campy villain with way more substance than our hero.
And I don't scare easily.
No.
Who does get to flex a bit more charisma in the movie's final act.
Where's my Linda?
Take it easy. She can take care of herself.
No, she can't. She's in big trouble and I love her.
By letting Ethan in on her secret identity with what I like to call a reverse Superman 2 kiss.
Linda.
But then Ethan's whisked away by a TikTok transition back into the lair of Madame Selena, with Nigel assisting his on and off again girlfriend with the magic of his Burundi wand, which Selena of course betrays Nigel with by turning him into Jacob Marley. Not only does Selena magically take over this town as its fascist leader, because I guess the leaders of the world were perfectly fine with granting a witch diplomatic immunity of a small Illinois town, but she also sends Supergirl off in a portal headed for the Phantom Zone.
Enjoy your prison, Supergirl.
Despite Selena having no way of knowing what a Phantom Zone even is. Thus, Supergirl is stuck here without the help of her powers. And who should be in the Phantom Zone but an even drunker Peter O'Toole.
Squirt.
Zoltar?
Squirt.
Who's now literally drinking from a squirt bottle canteen that the filmmakers likely gave to him so he wouldn't hold up filming with a severe case of the DTs.
Cheers.
If you told me that Peter O'Toole succumbed to cirrhosis right after he filmed his last scene of this movie, I would believe you. The poor man does not look well here. And yet somehow he lived for another 29 years. Zoltar devises a way for Kara to escape the Phantom Zone through the eye of an oncoming tornado, in an interminable scene of the two trudging through a sandstorm that gives Peter O'Toole several chances to look up this girl's skirt. Come on, Peter, the girl just turned 19. Get your drunken pervert ass out of this movie and into a more dignified cameo role, like in Caligula.
I am with you.
Farewell, my dear Kara. I'm off to cash my check for this turd of a film, then blow my money on getting shit-faced drunk with Roger Ebert and the star of Speed 2, Cruise Control! But without much character to Kara, there's nothing to root for in this final scene between her and Selena, whose magic has only grown larger in power.
Destroy her!
Don't fuck with me, fellas!
I think I'll be going.
And she's imprisoned Lucy Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Nigel above a pit of spikes.
The old dangling in a cage routine.
With Supergirl forgetting she can just fly above this damn floor to rescue them, and facing off against the much-hyped Storm Dragon.
A storm dragon?
Who hides inside of Selena's mirrors, and proceeds to torture Kara with the worst effect this side of Henry Cavill's invisible mustache. Oh, I get it. She's not actually the cousin of Superman. She's apparently the cousin of Stretch Armstrong. You might as well have put some silly putty over a Supergirl comic book and stretched that out on camera. It would have looked just as good. But Supergirl breaks from the dragon's grasp, and she tornadoes both of the female villains with the dragon into the mirror dimension to set them up for their later reappearances in Selena Vision and Bianca, Coven of Chaos. Man, the Academy was far harsher with Faye Dunaway over that La La Land mix-up than they ever were with Will Smith. And thus, Supergirl has finally saved the day, with Jimmy and Lucy promising to keep her identity a secret, Midvale magically returning back to normal,
that was some kiss,
and Ethan saying farewell to his super girlfriend.
Goodbye, Linda.
While she finally heads back to Argo City with the power source, where she presumably finds all her fellow Kryptonians dead from a lack of proper oxygen after the several days she spent pissing around on Earth. How I wish they could have redeemed this movie with a post-credit stinger of Supergirl introducing herself to a very confused Michael Keaton.
Bruce Wayne.
I am Kara of Argo City.
Asking for his help in stopping an even worse DC Comics movie that's also set in the year 1984.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
Since DC is the same studio that would later give us the Donner cut, the Snyder cut, hopefully the Schumacher cut, and definitely not the Helen Mirren butthole cut of Shazam Fury of the Gods, it makes sense that Supergirl also has a 137-minute director's cut, with said director being Jeno Swark of the far better Jaws 2 and Somewhere in Time, with the director's cut now available as a bonus disc with the Warner Archive Supergirl Blu-ray. But all the extra footage does in this cut is help further establish all the rest of this film's myriad supporting characters, who only get 1 or 2 scenes in the 2-hour cut, and none of it helps fill out this movie's many gaping plot holes. However, it's clear that Helen Slater's status as the first female superhero on the big screen did not go underappreciated, as she would later play the mother of both Clark Kent on Smallville and Kara Danvers on the CW's Supergirl, with Melissa Benoist doing Slater justice in the role of Kara over that show's 6 seasons, and Sasha Calle being quite great in the part herself. As for the original Supergirl movie, it's as much of a mess as the rest of the Christopher Reeve sequels were, with flat characters mixed up in a nonsensical story that throws witchcraft and sorcery into this universe out of nowhere, and has a lot of overlong padding in between. But just as it would later be true of Superman 4 and Batman and Robin, it's an enjoyably cheesy chapter of the DC universe that reeks of a simpler time for superhero movies. So I would recommend that you have yourself a super time with this not-so-super movie. And hey, at least Warner Brothers had the decency to let another studio release this movie instead, as opposed to just dumping all that hard work into a vault never to be seen by human eyes. Much like another female DC superhero's recent movie, which also had an Oscar-winning actor as a villain, and actually did have a Michael Keaton cameo. Yeah, a lot of good that did. Come on! On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Boulder Bruce, Supergirl is a film that did way more to change the hierarchy of the DC universe than Black Adam ever could, and smashes the glass ceiling up and away into a 6 out of 10. And unlike Supergirl's new movie, it doesn't have a single terrifying CGI baby being thrown into a microwave. What did you do? I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and thanks again for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Originals channel. Tell all your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all our latest videos. We are an independent company that appreciates all of your support, and while I won't spoil the many DC Universe cameos that pop up near the end of The Flash, all that I will say is that casting Nicolas Cage as Super Pup was completely disrespectful.
No! No!
She's with some old guy, it looks like.
Move, huh? Come on!
Calm down, okay?
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.